In this video, I'm going to teach you how to define and call a function or functions. So without any ado, let's get started. And the first function we're going to define is an add function. And this add function is going to add two integers. So we're just going to call the first one num1, and that is going to be of type integer. And the second parameter that we're going to have is of type integer. And obviously, we're going to add the two together. So that is going to be of type integer. And in the body of the statement, we're going to say then num1 plus num2. And that's basically it. So let's just talk through what we've done here and now how we can use it. So to call the function, we now give the add function to arguments, right, in the place of the parameters here. And we then get a return type here. Now it's saying missing arguments num1 and num2 in the call. So we have to explicitly add these num1 and num2 in the call. And if we don't want to, all we've got to do is add a underscore before the num1 and num2 to say that these labels are optional or these labels are not required. Okay, and the result of that add can, in a different language, the result of the add can be stored in the result variable, and then we can print it out. And if we run or build and run this, you'll see that it basically just prints out the number 6. And there we go. Right, so let's just walk and talk through this now. All functions are declared using the func, F-U-N-C keyword, followed by then the function name as well. And then the function needs to be then followed by brackets, all right? It doesn't have to have any parameters, so it can have 0 or more parameters. And the return type then is declared using this dash and then the greater than sign, and followed by the type that it is going to return. Now, functions can only return one type. We'll talk more about that in other videos, but it can only return one type. Now, the function body, which is enclosed inside of these curly braces, is then the code block inside, and that is then the return value. You can define the return value by using the return keyword and then the expression after it or the value after it that you want. Now, if the function only has one expression on one line inside of it, then Swift will also imply that this is going to be the return value as well. So as you can see, we can say 6. We don't have to actually say the return type 2. Now, like I said, if we remove this underscore, we're then going to have to add the argument label to it as well. Now, if we then want to have this argument label to it there as well, we're then going to have to add the num2 label to it also. So this is how to define a function, all right? You then have the function name, you then have the function parameters, and you have then the label for each parameter. And then you have then the return type, which is then goes after this arrow sign, let's call it, after here. And then after that, you then have the function body within the code block here. And we can then return that one value using the return keyword or having one expression inside of that one code block. Functions can only return one value. Now, it is not required to have a return value. So if we say function say hello, and then we just say in here, say print hello, and then we call this one function say hello, build and run this, you can see it says hello and then prints a result then 6. So this function doesn't actually have a return value. However, it actually does have one, and this function return type is void. Okay, and a void return type doesn't have to be declared. It is implicitly assumed that it is a return type, because even when you look at the print function, it doesn't return anything. And as we said, you don't have to give a return, you don't have to use a return keyword if it's only one line. So this would also return void as well. And if we then try and build it, you see it builds perfectly fine because we are saying return the return type of print. But because it's already implied the first expression. When it's a single expression, that return type is going to be returned. And because print is returning void, this say hello function is also returning void too. So this is how to define and call functions. It's very, very simple. And we've now, in this video, we talked about how to have multiple parameters, all right? And we've talked about how to label the parameters, and we talked about how we can then ignore or not have to then add the parameters when calling the function too. All right, and as you can see, we've mixed the different two types here. With that said, I hope that you've got something out this one video. Defining and calling functions is pretty simple, but it is a fundamental thing that you really must know when learning the Swift programming language. There's a lot more to talk about when it comes down to functions, so you have to make sure you look out for the next video. With that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this one video, and do any of the other social media things that you can do with it. If you do have any questions, concerns, feedbacks, or anything like that, let's start a conversation in the comments section down below. With that said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.